Hey everyone, Ranger William here from the Overmountain Victory National Historic Trail. Bringing you this video as part of a series the SOCA Parks are doing, the Southern Campaign of the American Revolution Parks Group, called Clash of the Commanders. What we are doing is each one of our 4 sites is answering the same question and giving you a little difference of opinion. And the question that we're answering this week in the Clash of the Commanders is who was the most significant British or Loyalist leader in the backcountry? Now, my answer may surprise you. It's not someone who was really involved with the Kings Mountain campaign and the Overmountain Victory Trail, but he's a very significant early leader of the cause. His name is Thomas Fletchall. Now, if you've done any studying about South Carolina in the early years of the war, you've probably come across this man's name. Thomas Fletchall, he's originally from Maryland, but he moves down to South Carolina in his 30s, about 1755 or so. And by the time the Revolution begins in 1775, he is a very significant backcountry leader. This man is not only a justice of the peace, but he's also a colonel in the 96th District Militia, a post he's held for 6 years now. He is a substantial landholder, having over 2,600 acres all around the Fair Forest Creek region. That's going to be what's now kind of Spartanburg Union area of upstate South Carolina. In addition to all the land he owns, he has large herds of cattle, hogs, sheep, and he owns at least 14 enslaved men and women. And in the backcountry of the Carolinas in the mid-18th century, having this many enslaved people is going to be a major status symbol. So Thomas Fletchall is looked to as a leader by the entire community. Now in 1775, when the revolution is really beginning, you see a document being circulated by the South Carolina Patriots. This is called the Articles of Association. This is a rundown of what they are doing, why they are rebelling, and a list of names of people who agree. If you hear other accounts of people who are loyal or people who are neutral being approached by the Committee of Safety, being approached by the Patriots, any Sons of Liberty, they are being asked or demanded to sign this association. This is that document. On July 13th, 1775, this document is brought to Thomas Fletchall's home, where it is then gathered, the entire regiment together, and they are read this document. Now, one account actually says it was Thomas Fletchall's idea to have this document and read to his men. He wants to see how many rebels, how many revolutionaries are in the community, and how many are wanting to follow him and stay loyal. This document is read to the regiment, and not a single man steps forward to sign. Possibly this is reflecting their loyalty, possibly this was just peer pressure, but not a single person wanted to join the revolution. Now, when this is seen by Thomas Fletchall, he and a few other Loyalist leaders get together and they write their own proclamation, their own articles, refusing to acknowledge that King George III had violated the rights of the colonists. It's a very public statement of loyalty, and 171 men signed their name right then and there to that document. Now, after it's read to this small group, it's passed on to other Loyalist leaders in the backcountry. Men like Joseph Robinson and Robert Cunningham receive this document, read it to their men, and it spreads all throughout the 96th District of South Carolina. So from the Broad River at the North Carolina border all the way to the Savannah River at the Georgia border, Loyalists and the local backcountry people are hearing and agreeing with Thomas Fletchall's words. Now, what happens next is the Patriots take a more personal approach to getting people to join their cause. In August of 1775, William Henry Drayton and Reverend William Tennant, 2 leading Low-Country Charleston area patriots, come into the backcountry trying to convince Loyalist leaders to join their side. On August 17th, it's recorded that these 2 Patriot leaders come to Fletchall's home and they sit and discuss with him for 3 hours joining the revolutionary cause. They later report that they were entirely unsuccessful in persuading Fletchall. They actually include his reply to them in their report to the Charleston Committee of Safety. They say that Fletchall said that he would never take up arms against his king or his countrymen, and that the proceedings of the Congress at Philadelphia were impolitic, disrespectful, and irritating to the king. So a very staunch, very stalwart leader of the loyal cause. Now, after trying to send the Articles of Association into the backcountry, after trying the personal approach, the Patriots decide to get a little more forceful. That next month, September 1775, William Drayton marches 1,000 Patriots into the backcountry. Now, his plan is to find the few key Loyalist leaders. He says they don't have a lot of followers. It's just this handful of guys. He can easily arrest these men, bring them to Charleston, and the backcountry will then be led into the Patriot cause. Now, this is what he believes. When he gets into the backcountry, he is then approached by Thomas Fletchall, not by himself, but with 12 to 1,500 armed Loyalists, outnumbering Drayton's little army. In fact, when Fletchall is only a few miles away from Drayton's camp, Drayton is fearing an armed clash. He sends a courier and a flag of truce to Drayton, and they discuss a truce. These men decide to turn and part ways, disarm their men. Now, once this agreement is made, Thomas Fletchall, he agrees. He follows his word. He disbands his followers. Drayton does not. He keeps his Patriot force together, and he keeps them armed. This is going to cause a little bit of distrust later on. We're going to fast forward a couple months here. The revolution has been heating up here in South Carolina. There's been some seizures of gunpowder, ammunition from one side to the other, and everyone's getting ready for the big shoe to drop, and that happens in November of 1775. Thomas Fletchall, he's ordered his regiment to form again. They are going to be looking at about 2,500 men now, all armed Loyalists, and they are led towards a place called Fort 96. That's what's now 96 National Historic Site, one of our sister parks. When they get down there, they lay siege to the fort, where there's several hundred Patriot militia inside this little stockaded area. And this begins a 3-day siege, the first battle of the Revolution outside of New England here at 96. Now, Thomas Fletchall, he is technically in command of this Loyalist army, but he is not there in the field. That's going to be other officers, more active, younger officers. By this point, Thomas Fletchall is about 51 years old. He describes himself at this time as being very corpulent, upwards of 280 weight. Another Loyalist leader, David Fanning, said he was just too fat. That's why he's not out there in the field with his men. But he is the technical commander of this Loyalist army. Now, after this little siege that happens, blood is shed. James Birmingham, the first Patriot killed in South Carolina, dies here during the siege. But both sides agree to a truce, a 20-day truce where they're going to lay down their arms and go back to their homes. Now, again, just like last time, the Loyalists follow through with this truce. The Patriots do not. Colonel Richard Richardson of the Low Country marches into the backcountry with 3,000 Patriot reinforcements. He ignores the treaty that's been signed. He ignores the truce, and he starts arresting Loyalist leaders. On December 12, 1775, Thomas Fletchall is at his home when he is found to be surrounded by Richard Richardson and 400 armed Patriots. He is arrested, and he is sent to Charleston as a prisoner. Now, he's going to be kept in Charleston from December 16, 1775 until July 10, 1776. And by the time he's released, he comes home to find his plantation, his property looted, destroyed, absolutely plundered by the Patriot cause. He is allowed to stay home. We don't know if he signed an oath of neutrality promising to not fight against the Patriot cause, or if it's because of his health, his age, his inability to really lead aggressively from the front, if that's why the Patriots allowed him to go home, allowed him to be released from prison. Now, the next time we see Thomas Fletchall, he's actually going to entertain Patrick Ferguson and his officers in July of 1780. When they're making their way through the backcountry of South Carolina, they stop at Fletchall's for dinner. And a few men actually talk about how well entertained they were by Fletchall and his family. Now, when Fletchall learns of the defeat of Patrick Ferguson, the death of Ferguson, the defeat of all those officers that he just had dinner with that past summer, he realizes it is no longer safe for him to stay in the backcountry. He gathers himself, his wife, 5 children, his 14 enslaved men and women, and they travel to the safety of British Charleston. Now, we don't hear from Fletchall anymore during the war, not until he leaves South Carolina in 1782. His estate is confiscated by the Patriot government. What's left of it is then bought by Thomas Brandon, a leading South Carolina patriot. Fletchall and his family, they board the British transport the Milford, and on December 1st, they travel to Jamaica, where they're going to try and resettle down there in the British colony. Now, as many Loyalists later did, Fletchall tries to be reimbursed for the property that he lost, both to destruction but also confiscation by the Patriot government. And it is during this time, he is about 1789, his health isn't great, he's taken ill, he's arguing and fighting with the Loyalist Claims Office trying to get reimbursed, and he passes away. So Thomas Fletchall, he's a very significant leader, probably the most significant Loyalist in the backcountry, not because of his military service, but for his political and social influence. Fletchall's stance against the revolution, his Loyalist leadership in the backcountry during these hatchling years of the war, this helped solidify the backcountry Loyalists ideologically. This entrenched all the backcountry Loyalists in their beliefs, and it helped create the split between the two parties that is going to only be deepened and worsened in the coming years. So later noted Loyalists, men like Joseph Robinson, Richard Paris, the Cunningham brothers, both Patrick, Robert, and William Cunningham, David Fanning, all these men were first guided by the leadership of Thomas Fletchall. These leadership abilities of Fletchall, they were actually recognized by a local Loyalist named William Turner. He actually wrote about this. He said Fletchall was a person considered of such eminence that he was the first person who was applied to sign the association of the new rebellion. Even the Patriots recognized that if you wanted to control the backcountry, Fletchall had to be on your side. But Fletchall's unwavering support for his king, his recognition as a leading figure of the community, formed the backcountry into a strong center of Loyalist resistance and helped draw the coming lines in the Civil War. So if you have any doubt as to who was a leading figure, Thomas Fletchall is a great answer. I hope you enjoyed my explanation and learning a little bit more about this sometimes lesser known Loyalist officer. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and be sure to watch for the other videos coming from our sister parks. Thanks.